What if I told you there's a shotgun that fires underwater, or one that looks like it came straight out of a steampunk nightmare? Before this video ends, you're going to see a weapon so strange, the military banned soldiers from using it in World War I. Not because it was ineffective, but because it was too effective. I'm talking about shotguns that broke every rule in the book. Designed so bizarre, they make today's firearms look boring by comparison. Some were genius, some were disasters, and one might just be the most controversial weapon ever fielded in combat. Stick around, because what's coming at number 1 will change how you think about firearms forever. Let's start with the weapon that literally got banned from warfare. The Winchester Model 1897 trench gun. World War I, the trenches of France, and American soldiers wielding what the Germans called the devil's paintbrush. Here's what made it bizarre. This shotgun had no trigger disconnector. Know what that means? You could hold down the trigger and just keep pumping. Each rack of the slide fired another shell. It turned a standard pump action into what was essentially a fully automatic death machine in skilled hands. Soldiers could clear an entire trench in seconds, firing as fast as they could work that pump. The Germans were terrified. So terrified, they filed an official protest, claiming it violated the laws of war. They said it caused unnecessary suffering. This from the same military using poison gas. America's response? We're keeping it. But here's the kicker. The Germans threatened to execute any American soldier captured with one. That's how effective this bizarre design was. It wasn't just a shotgun. It was psychological warfare wrapped in wood and steel. The Model 1897 saw action all the way through Vietnam. Not bad for a banned weapon. But we're just getting started. Okay, so the 1897 was slam fire fast, but what if someone designed a shotgun that was actually fully automatic? Enter the AA-12. This thing fires 300 rounds per minute. That's 5 12-gauge shells every second. But here's where it gets weird. It has almost no recoil. How? The designer, a guy named Atchisson, obsessed over this problem for years. He used a straight-line design, constant recoil springs, and a bolt that weighs more than some pistols. The result? You can fire this beast one-handed. People have literally fired it while holding it over their heads. But wait, it gets stranger. The AA-12 can fire specialized FRG-12 rounds, mini grenades that explode on impact. You're basically shooting airburst grenades at full auto. It can turn a vehicle into Swiss cheese, punch through concrete, and some variants have 32-round drum magazines. So why don't you see these everywhere? Well, it's a fully automatic shotgun classified as a destructive device. Good luck getting one legally. Plus, it costs about $5,000 just to rent one for a day at certain ranges. The AA-12 is what happens when engineers ask, what if we just ignored the laws of physics, and somehow it works? Speaking of full-auto shotguns that shouldn't exist, the Pancor jackhammer looks like it fell out of a sci-fi movie. Seriously, if you've played video games in the 90s or early 2000s, you've seen this thing. It's in Half-Life, Fallout, Killing Floor, everywhere. There's just one problem. It barely existed in real life. Designed in 1984, this weapon used a 10-round revolving cylinder, like a shotgun revolver on steroids. Bullpup design, fully automatic, made mostly of plastic and composites so it was light. And get this, the entire cylinder could be removed and used as a landmine. Yeah, your ammunition was the mine. But here's the bizarre part. Only a handful of prototypes were ever made. The company went bankrupt, the design was sold, patents expired, and this weapon that's famous in pop culture barely fired 1,000 rounds in total across all prototypes. It's the shotgun that exists more in our imagination than in reality. A ghost gun, digital legend, physical failure. But man, does it look cool. Wait, didn't we already cover Atchisson? Yeah. But before the AA-12, Atchisson designed something even weirder, the Atchisson Assault Shotgun, or AAS. This was the prototype, the rough draft, and it was strange. Picture this. It's 1972. Atchisson builds a box-fed select-fire shotgun that looks like someone mated an M16 with a garden hose. It fed from 5 or 8 round box magazines, could go full auto, and had this bizarre recoil compensation system that used springs within springs. The gun worked, sort of. It was reliable enough, but ammunition was the problem. 12-gauge shells aren't designed for magazine feeding. They're rimmed, tapered, and awkward. Atchisson spent years trying to solve feeding issues. Eventually, he scrapped this design entirely and started over, which led to the AA-12 decades later. But the original AAS? It's a footnote, a bizarre experiment that proved sometimes you need to fail spectacularly before you can succeed. Now, things get controversial. The Striker 12, also known as the Street Sweeper. This South African-designed shotgun has a 12-round revolving cylinder, a spring-wound mechanism that auto-rotates after each shot, and a profile that screams 1980s action movie. It was everywhere in the 80s and 90s. Movies loved it. Criminals also loved it. In 1994, the ATF reclassified it as a destructive device, the same category as grenades and artillery. Why? They ruled it had no sporting purpose. Suddenly, owning one required a $200 tax stamp, federal registration, and a lot of paperwork. Here's the bizarre part. The Striker is actually kind of bad. It's heavy, over 9 pounds loaded. That spring mechanism? It's finicky. The trigger pull is awful, like 20 pounds of pressure, and reloading takes forever because you have to individually load each chamber in the cylinder. But it looks scary. And in the world of gun legislation, looking scary sometimes matters more than functionality. The Striker is a lesson in perception versus reality. It's famous for being dangerous, but in practice, it's awkward, outdated, and outperformed by modern pump actions. All right, let's talk about something that's bizarre and brilliant. The Kel-Tec KSG. This thing has 2 magazine tubes, not 1. 2. Each held 7 rounds. That's 14 plus 1 shells in a package shorter than most pump actions. You manually select which magazine feeds using a lever. Left tube, right tube, your choice. Want to load one with buckshot and one with slugs? Go for it. Swap between them on the fly. It's a bullpup design, so the action is behind the trigger. The whole gun is only 26 inches long. For comparison, a standard Remington 870 with similar capacity would be nearly 40 inches. But, and there's always a but, it has issues. Early models had feeding problems. The pump can be stiff, and if you're not careful, you can accidentally short-stroke it and jam the whole system. Still, the KSG represents something important: innovation. While everyone else was making the same pump-action designs for a century, Kel-Tec said, what if we just added another tube? Bizarre? Absolutely. Impractical for some uses? Sure. But nobody can say it isn't creative. And now, number 1. The Neosteed 2000. This South African shotgun looks like aliens designed it. It has 2 magazine tubes on top of the barrel, not underneath, on top. Each tube held 6 rounds, and they gravity feed downward into the chamber. You select which tube feeds using a switch. The pump rotates 180 degrees, completely around the barrel to chamber the next round. It's ambidextrous, shells eject downward, and the whole package is unbelievably compact for a 12-round shotgun. It's like someone looked at every conventional shotgun design and said, what if we did the opposite? The Neosteed 2000 proves that sometimes the most bizarre designs aren't failures, they're just ahead of their time. Or maybe from an alternate timeline where everyone decided normal was boring.